Hello, I'm Clint McHenry. 3 days ago, I turned age 64. Hard for me to believe that I'm that old, but I don't feel that way. And when I look in the mirror, surprisingly, I look about the same as I did when I was a kid, I think, until I see myself on television or something. I started flying at age 15, and all I ever really wanted to do in an airplane was aerobatics, surprisingly. I had seen Mike Murphy fly an air show in 1938 in Birmingham, Alabama, and I made up my mind that I was going to be an air show pilot. I ended up having a career as an airline pilot, 36 years with Eastern Airlines, and I started my aerobatic flying immediately at age 15 and seemed to continue off and on through the years as an aerobatic pilot. I became very interested in later years when we started aerobatic competition around the world and in the United States. The concept of being able to compete and have judges evaluate who was the better or the best pilot was very exciting for me. And I've always felt that flying aerobatics in an airplane was what airplanes were for. The fact that you could go somewhere in them just seemed like a pleasant bonus. I still feel that way at age 64.
The dictionary defines aerobatics as the performance of maneuvers, such as rolls and loops, with an airplane or glider. Those who have experienced the exhilaration of aerobatic flight know there's more to it than that. For some, it's a way of life. For others, a pleasant diversion. But for each, aerobatics offers a chance to continue to improve as a pilot. The history of aerobatics can be traced back to the days following the Wright brothers' first flight. Early pilots began testing the limits of their airplanes and themselves. Aerobatic pioneers, like the famous Lincoln Beechey, learned through trial and error. While aviation gained popularity during the early 1900s, World War I brought sport flying to an end. The war created a demand for new pilots who learned aerobatics as part of their training. After the war, many of these pilots, in search of work, purchased surplus Army airplanes and started flying from town to town, putting on air shows and selling rides to make money. The era of the barnstormer was born, and these daring young men in their flying machines gave many people their first glimpse of aviation. During the 1930s, aerobatic competitions began to spring up around the country. These loosely organized contests pitted pilot against pilot to determine who was the best. The Second World War, like the previous war, created a new demand for pilots. Again, aerobatics were an essential part of the military curriculum and continues as part of today's military training. During the 1940s and 1950s, air shows gained in popularity. Today, they're one of this country's major sporting events, drawing more spectators than any other sport except for baseball. The modern era of aerobatic competition began in 1960 with the first World Aerobatic Championships. In 1964, the Aerobatic Club of America was founded to support the United States participation in the world contest. EAA's International Aerobatic Club was founded in 1970. IAC, rather than focusing on the world aerobatic competition, brought aerobatics to a grassroots level, encouraging pilots of all skill levels to pursue aerobatic training. Aerobatics has a rich history and a promising future. How can you get started in this exciting world? The best way to answer that is to ask for advice from those already involved in the sport.
Well, first of all, find a reputable flight school that has good instructors, qualified instructors, and go about it in the proper way.
To start in aerobatics, I would suggest joining a local aerobatic club. International Aerobatic Club has chapters all over the country.
I think the most important thing to do is find a really good teacher and a good school. There are some excellent aerobatic schools around the country, large schools that have wonderful instructors, reputable instructors.
The availability of two-place trainers, qualified training personnel, the organization, the IAC, the EAA, just a world of knowledge out there that is more available to anybody beginning.
I would recommend going to a school with qualified instructors and excellent equipment and with a known track record.
I would recommend anybody to first maybe join something like the IAC, which would give you a listing of where all the schools are and kind of get you up to date on what the sport's all about.
Keep in mind, aerobatic training should be suited to your needs. What type of instruction? How far do you want to advance? How should you practice? Through the words and thoughts of 6 of the world's finest aerobatic pilots, you'll be able to answer these questions and more. Bob Hoover is considered by many as the pilot's pilot. With more than 50 years of aerial experience, this former combat veteran and test pilot is best known for his outstanding aerobatic routines on the airshow circuit. From a P-51 Mustang to a Sabreliner, Bob is at home in nearly any cockpit. Bob Herendeen is a 2-time national aerobatic champion, a world silver and bronze medal winner, and a member of the U.S. aerobatic team from 1966 through 1970, and again in 1980 and 1982. Bob is also a veteran of the airshow circuit with more than 25 years of experience. Clint McHenry is a 3-time U.S. aerobatic champion and has been involved with the U.S. aerobatic team since 1974. Following a career as an airline pilot, Clint has become a successful airshow pilot and aerobatic instructor. Charlie Hillard may be best known as the leader of the Eagles aerobatic flight team, but he's been flying in air shows since 1958 and began competitive aerobatics in 1962. Charlie became this country's first individual men's world aerobatic champion in 1972. Patty Wagstaff is a 3-time member of the U.S. aerobatic team and is regarded as one of the best female aerobatic pilots in the world. She's also a regular performer on the airshow circuit. Leo Laudenschlager has captured the U.S. aerobatic championship an incredible 7 times and has also succeeded in becoming a world champion. He's a favorite airshow performer, flying his custom-designed, home-built Bud Light 200. There are many different ways to learn basic aerobatics. A number of excellent books and videotapes are available. You can learn with a trained observer, or as recommended by our experts, pursue training through an experienced instructor or flight school. No matter which method you choose, aerobatics can provide significant rewards.
Benefit of aerobatics is to always be in control of that airplane if you've lost control for whatever reason. Let's just say you picked up a load of ice and it stalled on you. If you've had some aerobatic training, you're going to know how to recover from a spin. You're going to know how to get it out of that stall by building up your airspeed again.
Oh, there are great benefits in learning aerobatics because you learn what an airplane can do, and through all of its flying regime from stall to sliding backwards to going just as fast as the airplane will go. And you learn the feel of the controls during the different changes in speeds. It builds your confidence tremendously.
And I think what it does, it gives confidence to a pilot that he can control an airplane in any position, under any kind of circumstance. And it teaches him all different kind of speed controls. It teaches him how to fly the airplane in any attitude. It teaches him that there's no big deal if you're upside down. You know, how do you get right side up? And it becomes a natural reaction versus a panic and just pulling back on the stick because it happens to be there, or the wheel. And I mean, I wish that aerobatic training was required for all pilots, because I think it would make us far, far more proficient and a lot more confident.
A desire to pursue aerobatics is common to our experts. The ways they learned differ.
Could never recommend anyone that they learn the way I did, because of pure ignorance, I could have easily have pulled the wings off an airplane, not knowing any more than I did as a youngster at 16 and 17 years of age. You've got to have a qualified airplane as well, an airplane that's designed to take the G-loading. To go out and fly an airplane as I did would be completely ridiculous with the knowledge that we have today.
At the time I learned to fly, we had to do spins before we soloed, so you might say I started aerobatics before solo, basic aerobatics, that is, in a spin, and then shortly after I soloed, I started doing loops. This was all in J3 and J5 Cubs.
Patty took lessons in aerobatics. I took 10 hours of dual and pursued it from there. That's the first thing I did.
My first interest in aerobatics started when I went to the 1964 Reno Air Races, and I watched Bob Hoover and Dwayne Cole perform out on the desert floor. At that time I had my private pilot's license and I'd already wanted to be a commercial pilot, but as soon as I saw them fly an airplane that way, I thought, well, you know, if you could fly an airplane like that, there's really nothing else to say in this sport. Not even the sport, the field of aviation, that says it all to me, to be able to have the command over an airplane, to do that at will, if you will.
If you follow the advice of our panel, the selection of an instructor or flight school is next on your agenda. There are a number of important thoughts to keep in mind.
The first thing I would look at is the personnel involved, because the instructor, the quality of instruction is where it's all at. Now, of course, you have to have good equipment, and that would certainly be, from a safety standpoint, you would want to look at their equipment and be sure it's up to date and the equipment's maintained well, but the quality of instruction is what you're going for.
There are really just two fundamental things, and that is the equipment, the quality of the equipment they have, and the quality of the instructing personnel they have.
Well, one that's been in business for a while, for one that has a proven record in light of the results of its students. For instance, in our flight school here, we have turned out many aerobatic champions at all levels of aerobatic competition, and many airshow pilots. This is the sort of credentials I think are necessary in selecting an aerobatic flight school.
Once a school and instructor have been selected, how should training proceed?
The sequence of learning should be a lot of ground instruction before you go up. I mean, you really need to have all this very firmly implanted in your mind before you get in the airplane. And then you need to learn the basics, and the basics are pretty simple. You need to learn all the roll maneuvers, the aileron roll, the slow roll, the snap roll maneuvers, and then you'll need to learn the looping maneuvers, and maneuvers that are connected with stall maneuvers, like a hammerhead stall turn, the spin maneuvers, things like that. The key to aerobatic flying is orientation. And while you're going through those basics, you learn what to look at and when.
There are basic maneuvers that all aerobatic maneuvers are based on, and those are rolls and loops and spins and hammerheads. And everything is a development of those maneuvers. So those are the things that you want to start with.
Again, the beginning sequence of learning aerobatics is to have fun, is to enjoy it, is to investigate it in a safe manner. That's really the first thing.
There are a variety of airplanes certified for aerobatic flight, ranging from simple to complex. what type is best for a beginner.
Personally, I would rather see somebody start in a good solid airplane like an Eagle or a Pitts and adapt themselves to that higher performance and just do it by taking a little more time with experience and an instructor than to start out with an airplane that is very heavy on the controls and a lot harder to fly. Now, I'll have to say it's kind of like comparing learning to fly in a tricycle landing gear and never flown a tail wheel. I mean, you're so much better off to have known the tail wheel and then go to a tricycle landing gear. Well, in some ways, it's better to start in something like a decathlon or Citabria, because the airplane is a lot harder to fly physically. I mean, it's a lot more demanding on you. Then once you learn that and you get into a Pitts, it's so simple. You know, it's easier probably to adapt to.
Finding the proper airplane to do aerobatics is much easier now than it was 30 or 40 years ago. Today we have many very sophisticated airplanes available on the market, both new and used. Airplanes that are stressed to an unbelievable degree. The Sukhoi, which you might be seeing off to my right here, is stressed to plus or minus 23 Gs. The airplane immediately behind me, the Extra 300, is stressed to plus or minus 18.6 Gs. Both of them, of course, with completely inverted fuel and oil systems. Both of them, of course, very expensive. The Pitts Special, which also is off to my right, is available in many different forms. Single-place airplanes, two-place airplanes, many different power plants. All of them proven airplanes. They've been around for years. They have a record of virtually no structural failures, no matter how badly they're mishandled. They're capable of all of even the most sophisticated aerobatic maneuvers. So aerobatic airplanes are readily available if you can find the money to purchase them.
I knew when I started in aerobatics to make a try for the World Championship would require tremendous sacrifice, not getting to enjoy a lot of things that a young bachelor might enjoy, and really turning my back to the world and going in a garage and building an airplane, which I'd never built an airplane before. But that's certainly not everybody's cup of tea. But identifying where you plan to go. And I would add that after you've taken some lessons, really gotten in the environment, met the people, you'll have a much more realistic idea of what you want to accomplish.
One of the most complete aerobatic flight schools in the country is located in Pompano Beach, Florida. The Pompano Air Center has built a reputation for safe, reliable training for everyone, from beginner to expert. Let's follow Tom Maglis as he begins his aerobatic training.
Tommy, we're really glad to have you flying here with us, and come on in and meet everybody. As a matter of fact, here are Brian and Randy right now. Tommy, meet Brian Becker. This is Tommy Maglis, and this is your instructor, Randy Gagne.
Nice to meet you, Tom.
Brian is our head man, and Randy's going to be your instructor. So.
Oh, great. Welcome. I'm looking forward to this. Okay.
I'm going to slip back in the office. Good to see you.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Okay.
How much flying time do you have?
200 hours.
And no aerobatics?
No, not yet.
All right. Well, what I want you to do is take this home tonight, look through it, give you an idea of what we're going to do in the first thing in the morning, and show up at 9 o'clock, and we'll give it a try.
Anything special I should read or no?
So just read this, bring some tennis shoes, and have some breakfast, and we'll go.
All right. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Take care.
Nice meeting you.
Bye-bye.
A thorough ground briefing takes place prior to each flight. Here, a gyro is used to show the effect of pitch and yaw.
See yaw? Now feel it pitch. Tom, this is a Pitts S2B Pitts, a lot like the one we're going to be flying. It's 260 horsepower, fuel injected, fully inverted fuel and oil. Take a look on the inside. It has an hour and a half worth of fuel on cross country at 170 miles an hour. You'll be sitting in the front seat here. You can see we've got a 5-point harness system, a seat pack type parachute. Canopy ejects over here. You've got a handle on the right-hand side and a handle on the left-hand side. You push the handle on the right-hand side forward, pull the handle on the left-hand side back, and the canopy is gone immediately. We've got Dave Clark headsets with a very good intercom system, so we can talk just like we're talking right now.
Great.
You'll be sitting in the front seat, as I said before. The only difference between the instruments in the front seat and the back seat is I've got fuel flow information, I've got the mixture back here, and the trim control. Everything else is duplicated in the front seat, brakes, the whole 9 yards.
I'm ready to get started.
Okay, Tommy, you got the airplane. Line it up. I want stick forward. Bring the power up nice and smoothly. As the tail comes up, don't let the tail get so high that you can see the buildings or the trees on the other end of the runway. If you've got that, then you're up in you're in too flat of an attitude.
Got it?
Okay. About 85, it's going to be ready to fly. Well, actually about 65, but 85 we can bring it off the ground. And it'll get there pretty quick. Okay, stick forward more.
76 Romeo, number 2 says traffic.
Okay, bring the power up a little bit more. Good so far. Okay, hold the nose right there. Okay, now pull it off. Very good. Not much to it, is there?
No, that was good. Sure took off quickly.
328.
It can get you into troubles if you're not paying attention, especially with the winds. Okay, let's climb it out at 100 now. Pull the nose up a little more and get it climbing. She'll accelerate pretty fast on you. And we'll do a left turn out. How you doing, Tommy?
All right, go ahead.
Okay, let's start with a Dutch roll. And we can use almost any speed for that. Here we go. You ready? We're trying to keep the nose on point by using coordinated rudder and aileron together and maintaining the altitude with the elevator. Okay. I'm going to roll over inverted to do it. Here we go. Check clear. Aileron and opposite rudder, or opposite aileron and rudder. Cross control is coordinated when you're inverted. A multifaceted coordination exercise. You have to concentrate on the altitude and the bank and feel comfortable sitting in the seat at the same time. How you doing?
I'm fine.
Let's try a slow roll. We entered that anywhere from about 110 miles an hour up until 160. Here we go. You ready? Start off left aileron, left rudder. A little bit of back pressure as you're rolling, then right rudder and the knife edge to hold the nose up. A little forward elevator as we come through the knife edge to hold the nose up inverted. Then easing off the right rudder as we pass through the inverted onto the left rudder. Maintaining the aileron all the way through the maneuver. Here we go. To the left. The slow roll.
That was pretty.
How you doing?
Great.
All right, we're going to pull up and do a hammerhead now. Entry speed on the hammerhead, Tommy, is minimum 140. And anything 140 or above. Okay, as the nose comes up, look to the left wing. Watching that wing to make sure that we hold the vertical line. Feeding in a little bit of right aileron, right rudder. Now I'm going to kick in left rudder, right aileron, forward elevator. Stop it on the vertical line with right rudder. Let it accelerate, then pull it out. Okay. Let me do an Immelman here. Half loop, half roll. Are you ready? Watching the wings just like you would in a loop. Entry speed, 170 miles an hour minimum. Here we go, watching the wings. Back and forth, look at the right wing as well. All right, now tilt your head up over. Look for the horizon, and half roll. How are we doing?
Love that maneuver.
All right, now we'll try Cuban 8. Entry speed, same as the loop, 160 or above. All these speeds, if you fly in this airplane, will vary. It can be a little bit slower if you're all by yourself. Okay, here we go, looking at the wings. Back and forth, back and forth. Now, tilt your head back. Traffic off to the right. Got him? No factor. 1, 2, half roll. 1, 1.5. Pull. And we'll go all the way around, making a full Cuban 8. Looking at the wings again. Back and forth, back and forth. Tilt your head back now. Look at the right wing, pick a 45-degree downline. Now look over the nose, pick a point on the ground, and we'll half roll. Okay, we're going to do a half reverse Cubanate now. Up on a 45. Entry speed, 160 or better. 1, 2, half roll. 1, 2, and 3, and ease it around. Just like a loop. Now it's 5/8 of a loop. 45-degree upline and then 5/8 of a loop. We're going to go right back up on the 45. Here we go. Look at the wing for the 45-degree angle. Half roll. Now, look at the nose to the horizon for the angle. Now it's 5/8 of a loop. How are we doing?
Doing just fine.
All right, now we'll try a 4-point roll. Are you ready?
Yep.
Here we go. And 4. Okay, Tom, how about give me, let's try a 4-point roll. Nose up about 5 degrees. Step on the right rudder in the first knife edge. Okay, pitch it up and roll it. Now stop it. Now right rudder. Now left aileron, right rudder. Hold your nose up. Push your nose back up now. There you go. Higher, higher. There you go. Now left aileron, right rudder. Go. Stop and roll. Okay, missed the point there a little bit. With some practice we can get that.
Okay.
Okay, I got the airplane. And now barrel roll. Now to the left, pick a point, 45 degrees. Barrel roll can be started anywhere from 120 and above. What I like to do is use minimum speeds. Most of the rolls are just minimum speeds, except for the snap roll, and then that's the maximum. All right, we're going to do a hammerhead turn here with a half roll and turn it around. A half roll on the way up and a half roll on the way down. Here we go. Half roll. Hammerhead. Half roll down.
You do that half roll just like you would do a slow roll, but a half of a slow roll.
Right, no rudders on the way up though. We'll do another barrel roll from this angle. Pitching the nose up. Picking a point 45 degrees off the nose, 40 to 45, and flying it back to the original heading. Okay. Oh, one we haven't done yet, Tommy, is the rolling turn.
Oh, we haven't done that.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Two advanced maneuvers, a rolling 360 and a Lumshabak, are not generally flown during a first lesson. But Tom had seen the maneuvers at several air shows and asked Brandy to demonstrate them.
Entry speed varies on the rolling turn. The idea is to roll the airplane and change heading. In this instance, change 90 degrees of heading into one complete roll as you change it. You have to integrate the roll and the turn at the same time. Using a lot of rudder, stopping exactly 45 degrees when you're inverted and on your heading when you're upright. How you doing?
Wow, that was something.
All right, Tommy, I'm going to demonstrate a snap roll. Going to do it to the right on the count of 3. Okay, I'm going to be pitching back a little bit, feeding in the rudder, relaxing the elevator and a little bit of right aileron, stopping with left rudder, and then back to neutral. It's going to go around real fast. Try not to pick any reference, just kind of glare out to infinity. Are you ready?
All right.
On the count of 3, here we go. 1, 2, 3. How was that?
Did we already do it?
Let me do one more.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Okay, let me demonstrate one more. Here we go. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
All right, you have the airplane. Give it a try. Now relax, you're real tight on the controls, loosen up. Speed is 120. Okay, make sure your wings are level, relax. Okay, go ahead and snap it now.
Talk me through this for a second.
Okay, you got to pull the stick back and kick right rudder.
Pull the stick back, kick right.
Yeah, but don't pull the stick all the way back.
Ready?
Ready. Go. Not bad. You needed a lot more rudder and you recovered a little early. Okay, we're going to do a lump shavat now.
A lunchbox?
Lump shot. Yeah, lunchbox. Here we go. Going to pull up on a 45, Tom. Roll to the knife edge and apply brisk forward left rudder. Right rudder, full right rudder, brisk forward left stick. Here we go. You ready? Rolling now. Going end over end and rolling at the same time. And out we come. How you doing? Still with me?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going home. Okay, Duffy. Now, the important thing about this landing, especially in this airplane where you can't see very well, is finding a spot on the runway you can look at so you can judge your rate of descent and any drift. I like it flying this thing into the landing like driving down the road at night 60 miles an hour with 90 miles an hour with your hood up and your lights off.
Pretty well blind, aren't you?
Pretty well blind. So what you've got to do is you've got to come in either in a slip or come at an angle to the runway. Ta-da! Hot damn Betty Lou walked away from another one.
Well, tell me, buddy, how was it?
Boy, that was absolutely the best. I'm ready to go again.
Great.
Mike Hewer is the past president of the International Aerobatic Club and editor of Sport Aerobatics magazine. He's been involved in IAC since it was founded in 1970. An accomplished aerobatic pilot, Mike has also been involved in many IAC-sanctioned competitions, both in and out of the cockpit.
In 1960, the first World Aerobatic Championships was held, and that was held in Bratislava, Czechoslovakia. And it's been held every 2 years since that time, and has refocused worldwide attention on competition aerobatics. There were a handful of contests held here in the United States in the 50s and 60s, but it really began in 1970 with the formation of the International Aerobatic Club. Today, over 40 competitions are held in the nation every year. Aerobatic competition is held at many levels, and this is the reason that pilots should become involved, because there is something for everyone. Competitions are held at the local or regional level, some 40 of them a year every season in the United States, and also national championships each fall in Texas. And then if pilots qualify, they can also move on to the World Aerobatic Championships held every 2 years, generally in Europe. Aerobatic competition judging is done by a panel of 5 to 10 judges who sit there and watch every pilot's figures from beginning to end very carefully. They grade on a scale from 0 to 10, with 0 being a maneuver that was completely botched and 10 being the perfect maneuver. They see very few 10s. The aerobatic box is the pilot's performance zone. It's the area in which he flies his competition sequence. It's 1,000 meters square, 3,280 feet, a top limit of also 1,000 meters, and the bottom of it is defined by what category of competition that pilot flies. The higher the level of competition, the lower the pilot flies, all the way down to 100 meters, or 328 feet for the unlimited pilots. Competition is divided into 5 different skill levels: basic, sportsman, intermediate, advanced,
in unlimited. Most pilots generally start out at the basic or the sportsman level. Sportsman consists of 6 basic maneuvers, and sportsman slightly more, and so on, all the way up through unlimited, the most complicated and world-level style of flying. The United States Aerobatic team is selected every 2 years at the U.S. National Aerobatic Championships in Texas. That team represents the United States in world aerobatic competition every 2 years. It consists of 5 men and 5 women pilots from the unlimited category. And they've done very well over these last couple of decades of competition, have brought home many medals and many trophies. It's a very important aspect of our sport. Pilots look up to these men and women because they represent the ultimate in skill and proficiency in the sport of aerobatics.
The old saying, practice makes perfect, applies to aerobatics, especially if you participate in competitions or air shows. Bob Herendeen still follows a rigid practice routine.
Well, what I do is work out a sequence on paper, and then I go out and fly the sequence at altitude. I usually suppose the ground is, say, 3,000 feet, and then I practice my routine above 3,000 feet, making sure that any time during the routine I don't go below that, limit of 3,000. And then any maneuvers that I'm having problems with, then I'll practice those individually after I finish the whole sequence.
Back when I was competing and practicing for world championships or national championships, every practice flight I would try to simulate that it was a competition flight. So I would have a definite plan before I ever got in the airplane. I would make up my mind, this is going to be a compulsory flight or unknown maneuvers or a freestyle or whatever. So I really tried to make my practice sessions a very high intense concentration period and a time that I feel like I could really get something accomplished.
One thing I did smart, and that was get over a broken layer of clouds and use that as my ground reference. So that, and if you don't have clouds, of course, you can use your altimeter. And say you're at 2,000 feet or 5,000 or 10,000, it depends on the type of airplane you're flying. Just say that's my baseline. And whatever maneuver I perform, I'm going to be out of that maneuver comfortably above that particular altitude or the baseline of the clouds there.
Practicing aerobatics is extremely important, particularly if you're going to be a performer in air shows or if you're going to be a competitor. However, once a pilot learns how to do all of the basic figures with some degree of perfection, it's not necessary to go up and do them over and over and over again. But that's one of the things that I like about aerobatic competition, is that even if you're an extremely experienced competition pilot, if you've been away from it for a little while, you go over all the basics again and again and again so you don't make any very small errors.
As in instrument training, an extra set of eyes are helpful. Like a safety pilot, a trained observer on the ground can improve your aerobatic flying.
An observer on the ground is just like a judge in a contest. He'll make sure that you're doing maneuvers right, like making your loops round. You can talk about it after you fly and get on the ground, and he can explain what you need to do to correct any maneuver that you might be having trouble with. Something you think you're doing properly all the time in the air without an observer, he'll be able to see that and be able to make a correction for you.
The value of a trained observer, you can't put a price on that. To me, that is the single greatest asset from a safety point of view, from a training point of view, and really from a confidence point of view a pilot can have.
Many times, a pilot's first exposure to aerobatics is through air shows. The universal appeal of watching man and machine push to their limits in an aerial display continues to excite audiences worldwide. Smoke, noise, and breathtaking maneuvers characterize airshow performances. To the casual observer, there are many similarities between air shows and aerobatic competitions. For the pilot, these two types of flying have different meanings.
Competition flying and air show flying are somewhat different. In a competition, you're pretty much regulated as to what you can fly. In an air show, it's a freestyle. You can do whatever you want to. In a competition flying, it's much more demanding physically and for the airplane also.
Air show flying is not graded by 5 or 10 judges that are critiquing your every move and criticizing everything that you do and looking for mistakes. It's hard to do a bad maneuver in an air show. The flying is lower. We come right in almost to ground level, do things like ribbon cuts, we use smoke and we use music, and it's entertainment. Competition flying is Olympic-style competition. It's, whether it's world competition or national competition, it's, again, it's very demanding, it's very precise. We don't use smoke. We're only flying for judges, we're not flying for spectators. Every maneuver has to be perfect as we can make it.
In order to be an air show pilot today, I would recommend very strongly that if you are interested in doing that, you become first involved in aerobatic competition. I have known many air show pilots who chose another route. They just began doing aerobatics and decided to become air show pilots. And I must say that when I watch them fly, it's apparent that they have skipped over a very important part of their training. They have missed some of the basics. They might fly close to the ground, they might have an exciting show, and might be real showmen or showwomen. But if you're looking at the quality of the performance, it shows up if you haven't had some competition background.
Confidence plays a big part in any aerobatic flight. Yet confidence must be balanced with a healthy dose of respect for the airplane, the pilot's ability, and the maneuvers attempted.
Well, confidence plays a great deal in aerobatics. If you're confident that you can fly the airplane, do the maneuvers, then it makes it easy. If you're not confident and you're worried about some maneuver or another, then you start thinking about that, and you forget about other things that you should be doing, and that becomes prominent in your mind.
Confidence is very important, but you gain confidence with experience. So the inexperienced air show or aerobatic pilot must realize that they might be just as talented as somebody that's been in the business 20 years, but the experience isn't there.
These 4 fundamental steps will repeat themselves over and over again. Ignorance is bliss. The next step is a little bit of fear. And the next step is overcoming that fear with training and knowledge and repetition. And then finally we get to the place that we have confidence.
Well, confidence is everything. If you don't have confidence in what you're doing, you know, you're going to have that moment of hesitancy when you're trying to do it. And in flying aerobatics, and especially flying air show aerobatics or competition aerobatics, you just can't have that kind of a mental lapse or any kind of a hesitation on doing a maneuver.
I think you must have a healthy fear for aerobatics, especially if you do it in air shows and at low altitudes. Be aware of your limitations and be afraid of the ground, because the ground can kill you very easily.
There's no room for fear in aerobatics. I think there's only room for fear when you haven't had proper training and you're not flying within your limitations.
I think fear to a certain extent is fear of the unknown. I think fear of mechanical problems, of structural integrity, those kind of fears are good for you because they make sure that you go out and do that checklist, and they make sure you look at the airplane, and they make sure your parachute's packed on time, and those type of things. Fear of the unknown means that you haven't practiced enough to know what's coming up next. So that kind of fear is a hindrance to you. The other kind of fear builds in a safety factor for you.
Tom Poberezny's role as president of EAA and the EAA Aviation Foundation has somewhat overshadowed his significant accomplishments as an aerobatic pilot. In 1973, he won the U.S. National Aerobatic Championship. The previous year, He was a member of the U.S. aerobatic team that captured the World Championship, and that same year, he became a member of the Red Devils flight team, which has evolved into the popular Eagles aerobatic flight team.
Aerobatics is an important part of EA's world of sport aviation. Some may ask, why is EA involved in aerobatics? All I've got to do is look here at all the aircraft in the EAA Air Adventure Museum. It reminds me of how important aerobatics is in the overall history of aviation going back to the Wright brothers. Aerobatics means many things to many people. For me, it's the thrill of flying on a weekend, or just going out and doing loops and rolls, or an air show, or aerobatic competition. For the public, I guess you could say it's many times their first exposure to the excitement of flying. You see aerobatics performed at air shows, or aerobatic competitions, or on television, or you talk to ex-military pilots who flew aerobatics in their training. So aerobatics can be looked upon as a public relations arm for sport aviation, for aviation in general. I guess you could kind of say that EA's role hits a number of points. Number one, pilot proficiency. Aerobatics allows you to develop skills that you might not otherwise do in your normal flying. Secondly, it allows you to learn the expanded envelope of the airplane, to really go out to the edge, so that if you ever have a problem, you've been there before. And I guess last would be the fact that a vast majority of airplanes involved in aerobatic flying are home-builts, ex-military airplanes, warbirds, and antiques and classics, all important parts of EAA.
The International Aerobatic Club is a growing division of EAA and continues to actively support aerobatics at all levels.
The reason that I think every aerobatic pilot, or every person that's thinking about becoming an aerobatic pilot, should join is because it gives you the opportunity to join with others that are interested in the same thing that you are, which is aerobatics. And aerobatics is a wonderful, interesting sport, but it's something that needs to be approached carefully and in a proper way. Other aerobatic pilots in IAC can help you do that, and that's a very good reason for joining, just to get started on the right foot.
The International Council of Air Shows works to promote excellence in the air show industry. Executive Director Rick Nadeau explains the Council's role.
ICAS serves a number of functions. First, we're a focal point for the air show industry. It's one of the only opportunities for the entire air show community to network with each other, and that's a very important part of their activities and their ability to deal on a professional level with each other.
In recent years, women have taken a more active role in what has traditionally been viewed as a man's world. Patty Wagstaff explains her feelings on the growing number of women becoming involved in aerobatics.
Once you get in an airplane, it really doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, and that's one of the things that attracted me to flying in the first place, that anybody can do it. It doesn't take strength, it just takes natural talent or skill or practice, training, all of those things to do it, or desire to do it.
For pilots like Bob Hoover, aerobatics have become a major part of his life. But how would it change without aerobatics?
Well, it'd certainly be different, I can tell you that. I enjoy what I'm doing, and if I had to quit for whatever reason tomorrow, if I didn't pass a physical or whatever, I could only say I've had my fair share of great flying and great fun and meeting some of the most wonderful people in the world and doing what I've done. But I am sincerely hoping that I'll be able to pass the physical right on up to 101.
I don't think it would be nearly as exciting without aerobatics, and nor fulfilling, because the excitement is in flying the airplane and doing the air shows and going through all these maneuvers, and it's very satisfying to be associated with the people involved in aerobatics. Not only your fellow aerobatic pilots, but the people who put on air shows. I've met some of the nicest people that you could possibly meet in this air show business. It's been very gratifying.
I guess mundane would probably be the first thing that would come to mind. It's been so deeply ingrained in my psyche, my personality, my drives, and my goals. At least for the time being, I'd only be a half person.
Well, without it, I think there'd definitely be an empty spot, because like anything, when you practice so hard to develop something and when you become proficient at it, to lose it is like losing part of yourself. So at this point in time, it would be hard for me to really know what it's like without it, because it's given me more than just the joy of flying or the improvement of skills. It's become a way of life and has developed some friendships and camaraderies that without it, I'm sure my life would be different.
The desire to learn aerobatics, like the decision to learn to fly, must come from both the head and the heart. The opportunity to push to the limit drives some, while the challenge of learning spurs on others. Once you've decided to enter the world of aerobatics, your outlook on flying will change. Aerobatics can open up a whole new vista of flying. Our pilots have a few final thoughts about getting started in aerobatics.
Well, a little bit like the Nike commercial, just do it. There's hundreds of avenues out there, and again, that first hour is probably the toughest. So just get in the airplane and find where you want to go and say, I'm going to do just 1 hour, and start there.
I think the thrill of aerobatic flying starts when a person realizes what he's accomplished. And I think that thrill turns into a feeling of confidence and accomplishment, and then he can get into any kind of an airplane and feel better about it. He will adapt to an airplane faster.
When I first started aerobatics, I didn't know where it would take me. It could have been a one-time 10-hour package, or it could have been something that I did on the weekends. And now I'm a professional air show pilot and just about a full-time competition pilot too.
Well, I'll tell you this, it's a challenge, and I don't think that you will find a greater challenge in the whole world. As many years as I've been performing, I certainly don't think my skills are as good as lots of other people. I see it all around me. But I have tried to be precise, I've tried to be safe, and I've enjoyed it so much that it's been a challenge and still is a challenge to me each and every time I perform.
Most pilots that come into the sport, of course, come in because they want to fly aerobatics, they enjoy it. But later on, many people discover that there are a whole array of activities that they can get involved in the sport that offer them something too. It's not just flying, it's not flying competition, it's not flying air shows strictly at all. The sport is very, very wide and very interesting in its scope.
The thing I would like to leave with the audience is to become involved in aerobatics. If you have not experienced it and you are an aviator, you owe it to yourself to experience aerobatics and find out what it is to operate the airplane on the edge of the envelope, so that you're going to be a better and a safer pilot.
Aerobatics to me means the confidence to be able to control an airplane through all its attitudes, any environment, and still know what attitude you're in, and still be able to think in any other capacity. Not only is it good for you, it's just plain fun.
Right to the right now. Here comes the spin. The 1, the 2, the number